Now I'm going to show you how to apply for EngTech. So you can choose Start Application from the home page, or choose Professional Registration and Fellowship from the top menu. So I'll do that. Choose the green box, which is all about professional registration, and then the next green box, which is obviously where you start your application. So I'm going to choose to apply for the EngTech registration. Now the applications for iEng, CEng and ICT Tech are all very similar, but obviously the UK spec competency standards for each are very different. Now firstly, you can access the UK spec standard for EngTech by choosing View Framework. And this will remind you of the competency areas, you can see if I scroll down on screen here, that you're about to provide written evidence for, and the minimum skill level for each competence you should be trying to demonstrate, which is actually level 3, the practitioner level for each of the competency areas. Now you can be at an expert level too, of course, and but it's only the practitioner level that you need to meet. Just to give you an example, if I chose competence section B2, then level, if I look down the skill level guidance to find level 3, which is the practitioner level, it'll show me the competence level I need to be at for that particular competence. So you can review that for all the different competency areas. If I choose to apply, you'll see this box coming up asking basically if you need any help. So if you tick this little box here, then you get some contact from our professional registration team offering their support. Now, because I'll be providing you with details of how to get all this support anyway, in an email after the presentation, you can leave that box unticked. So here where you can see where you actually write your EngTech application and you're completing it in sections. Each section of the application is listed to the left-hand side of the screen with a green tick for when you complete each section. Now you can complete the sections in whatever order you want. Some sections, such as academic and vocational qualifications, are marked with a red asterisk to denote that these sections must be completed. Those that aren't, such as training, so for example training there, means you can add information if you have some to provide, but it's not compulsory for you to complete that section. Now you can edit your application as often as you want. Your form will be saved wherever you left it the last time you used Career Manager. So the next time you log on, you can pick up where you left off. Before you start though, you should look at this section before you begin, which is all very useful information. So have a read through of that. Then the next section is your personal information. And this is pulled through from your membership record. So that's already pre-filled for you. So that's why we've got green ticks in both those sections. In your academic and vocational qualifications, so firstly add the establishment, so the college or training provider that you were with, and then you can actually add the qualification and the course details when it was achieved as well. Next section is employment history, and this is the section that you're going to spend most time completing. Now firstly, if you don't understand what is being requested, or you just like to sense check the information you're providing, each section has these handy little help buttons, which will bring up the guidance notes. If I do that, you see the guidance notes there for this section. So it'll bring up the guidance notes for each section to help you complete them correctly. So you'll find these little help buttons all over Career Manager. So you complete the employment history from the beginning of your engineering career up to now. But as the guidance notes here suggest, it's here that you explain your responsibilities and achievements. You see the little box here. So you can write as much information in there as you need to. And how you demonstrate your knowledge and experience is basically written in this section. So it's important to present your evidence clearly, carefully and concisely. So you should describe your role and responsibilities in each job post you've had and your achievements by talking about some pieces of work you completed where you feel you give good examples of the EngTech UK spec competency requirements. Now remember, most of the best work you've done will probably be from your most current role or more recently. So usually you can concentrate providing your best information from then. Using the STAR acronym here as well is a good way of remembering how to best describe the work you're talking about. Now you'll have a chance to provide some more detailed examples. Let's just move to assessment questions. So more detailed examples of your competence later in the application here, where you're asked to answer 3 assessment questions. And it's worth having a look at these questions and having a read through of them before completing your employment history section, so that you're not repeating yourself or providing too much competence evidence in this employment history section. Then we have training courses. So training courses you might have been on or want to add into this section. And it's here, as well as on the job training or training courses you've done, you can also include any seminars, lectures, workshops, or conferences you might have attended as well. In professional services, papers and presentations, just open the help section as well there for this area. This is a non-compulsory section again. So in here, it could be that you've delivered presentations you might want to mention, or written any technical reports. And also if you volunteer for any volunteer roles at the IET or for other areas in society generally, such as being a school governor or a sports coach, for example, you can add them here. And there are some examples in the guidance notes and in the help section there as well that you might want to consider. So the next section is schemes and apprenticeships. Now you can add in details of any apprenticeship program you might have been on in this section. Now if you're currently on an IET accredited apprenticeship scheme, you can enroll on it in Career Manager by clicking on this section here, schemes and apprenticeships. So you can add in the details in this section and they will actually appear here under current IET schemes and apprenticeships when you've done that. If you were previously on and have completed an IET accredited apprenticeship scheme, you can add it here in past schemes and apprenticeships. And it's also here, if you were on an apprenticeship scheme that wasn't accredited by the IET, you should have the details in there too. And then if we come back to, which you've already seen, the assessment questions. So there are 3 assessment questions that you need to answer, where you're really given the opportunity to show how you meet the EngTech UK spec competencies for in more of a prescribed way than the explanation you give in your employment history roles and responsibilities. So the questions all ask for specific examples explaining what you've done to meet certain areas of the EngTech UK spec, aiming for between 450 to 500 words for each answer. So the next section is Professional Registration Advisor. So if you've used a PRA to help you write your application, which is actually what we'd recommend for anybody who's applying to do, then you can add their details in here too. Then in Expertise, you can help us find assessors that are most suitable to understand the area of engineering that you work in by choosing the expertise, firstly from this drop-down list. You can see here, that's quite a long list. So you can choose the expertise and then which kind of specialized areas that you feel you work in as well. So you've got 3 opportunities to do that and save that information there in that section. And then there are next is supporting documents. Now the only one in this section, there are opportunities to upload some supporting documents. The only one that is compulsory for you to upload is your academic certificates for whatever your qualification you're telling us about, so proof of that. So you should upload that information there, maybe a scan of your certificate or an electronic copy of that certificate. Or certificates if you've got more than one. And then we come to the section where you can review your application. Now, you don't have to wait until you've completed your application to do this. So you can and will likely review your application several times before you're happy with it. So you can view your application as a whole document at any time on the screen here by clicking that button. So I'll show the draft application. Or you can download it as a PDF document. So if I just open that and show you what that looks like. And then that gives you the ability then to share the application at any time with somebody else who you might want to review it. Then once you're happy with your application, you can tick the box at the bottom here to say that you're ready for verification. So next you'll need to click the Proceed to Verification button at the bottom of the page there. Now, I can't actually do that. It's grayed out for me because I haven't completed all the compulsory sections of the application. But when you do, what you'll be asked for is the name and address for your supporter. Now, you'll need someone to provide a reference for your application. These people are called supporters, or your supporter or supporters, which the system will send an email to, along with the final version of your application form and a reference form they need to complete for you. So it sends them a guest version of Career Manager with those details in for them to fill in. So who makes a good supporter? What do we need them to be? Well, ideally, your supporter will be someone who knows you in a work capacity, so they know a bit about the work that you've done, and they are professionally registered to the level or above that you're looking to apply for. So here they could be an EngTech registered themselves, or iEng or CEng registered. Now, sometimes, as I've mentioned, you can use more than one supporter, and it could be that your first supporter only meets one of these criteria. So perhaps that's someone like your line manager, who obviously will be very aware of the work that you've done recently, but they aren't professionally registered. And then your second supporter could be someone who knows a little less about your work, obviously, but is still willing to give you a reference, and they are professionally registered. So you can use two supporters there. Now, once your supporter or supporters have completed your reference form, they send it back to you electronically via Career Manager, and it appears in your version of Career Manager in this section here, which is obviously grayed out for me, in verification. So you can read their reference form. And before you go to proceed to verification, it's important that you understand that the version of your application form now is the final version, because once your supporter or supporters have provided their verification, their reference, if you like, then you can't edit your application. That is the final version. Then the next thing you do, once you've received your verification, is go to Ready to Submit, and you send your application to the IET so they can begin the assessment process. And that's how you apply for EngTech.